First contact gone wrong. Commander Zixtal stood on the bridge of the Galactic Union scout ship Stargazer, his 4 eyes fixed on the blue-green orb spinning lazily on the main view screen. Earth, the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star, hidden away in the unfashionable western spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy. It was beautiful, Zixtal had to admit, but hardly seemed worth the centuries-long journey his people had undertaken to reach it. Preliminary scans complete, Commander, chirped his science officer, Renla. Her tentacles danced across the control panel, bringing up a holographic display of the planet's vital statistics. Nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, abundant liquid water, diverse ecosystems, and clear signs of technological civilization. Zixtal's antenna twitched with excitement. Sentient life. Are you certain? Renla bobbed her head in affirmation. Artificial satellites in orbit, electromagnetic emissions consistent with global communications networks, and... She paused, mandibles clicking in surprise. Commander, I'm detecting fission and fusion energy signatures. These beings have mastered the atom. A ripple of nervous energy passed through the bridge crew. It was rare to encounter a species so technologically advanced, especially one that had developed in isolation from the Galactic Union. Protocol dictated caution, but Zixtal could already imagine the accolades he'd receive for making first contact with such a promising race. Prepare a landing party, he ordered, straightening his ceremonial cape. We'll make our approach to their largest population center and initiate peaceful contact. As the Stargazer descended through Earth's atmosphere, cloaking fields engaged to avoid premature detection, Zixtal rehearsed his greeting. The ship's linguistics computers had been working overtime to decipher the planet's dominant languages, and he felt confident in his ability to communicate. The gleaming spires of New York City came into view, and Zixtal felt a flutter of admiration. These humans, as they called themselves, had accomplished much in their short history. The Stargazer touched down in Central Park, its landing struts crushing several park benches and startling a flock of pigeons. Zixtal took a deep breath of filtered air and stepped onto the boarding ramp. Remember, he said to his landing party, we come in peace. Let's make history. The reaction from the gathering crowd of humans was not what Zixtal had expected. Instead of wonder and excitement, he saw fear and confusion on their alien faces. Some fled screaming, while others stood frozen in shock. A few raised small devices, no doubt primitive communication tools, to capture images of the visitors. Zixtal raised all 4 of his arms in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. Greetings, people of Earth, he began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into the local dialect. We come from the stars with... He never finished the sentence. A deafening crack split the air, and Zixtal felt a searing pain in his upper left arm. Purple blood oozed from a small, neat hole punched through his exoskeleton. Sniper, shouted his security chief, tackling Zixtal to the ground as more shots rang out. The air filled with screams, human and alien alike, as chaos erupted in the park. Back to the ship. Zixtal gasped, clutching his wounded arm. Abort the mission. As the landing party scrambled back up the ramp, Zixtal caught a glimpse of black-clad human figures moving through the trees, long weapons in hand. How had they responded so quickly, and with such precision? The Stargazer lifted off, its shields deflecting a barrage of primitive but surprisingly effective projectile weapons. As they climbed higher into the atmosphere, Zixtal slumped in his command chair, shock setting in. I don't understand, he muttered. We came in peace. Why did they attack? Renla, applying a medical patch to his arm, shook her head sadly. Perhaps they saw our arrival as a threat, Commander. Not all species react well to surprises. Zixtal's mandibles clicked in frustration. Send a message to High Command. Advise them that the inhabitants of Earth are hostile and dangerously unpredictable. We'll need a full battle group if we're to attempt contact again. As the Stargazer limped back to the edge of the solar system, Zixtal replayed the encounter in his mind. The fear in the human's eyes, the suddenness of their attack, the precision of their weapons. He shuddered, remembering the unseen assailant who had so nearly ended his life with a single shot. "Snipers," he said, testing the unfamiliar word. "We'll have to be wary of their snipers." Little did Zixtel know that his brief, disastrous encounter in Central Park was just the opening salvo in a conflict that would span years and redefine humanity's place in the galaxy. The Galactic Union had come seeking peace, but they had found instead a species honed by millennia of conflict, armed with terrifying skill and determination. As reports of the incident spread across human news networks, governments around the world scrambled to respond. Military leaders pored over blurry footage of the alien ship, arguing over tactics and technology. But in hidden bunkers and secret briefing rooms, one word was repeated over and over, a new source of pride and terror: sniper. The shot heard round the world had been fired not by a colonial farmer, but by an NIPD sharpshooter named Sarah Chen. She had been on routine patrol when the call came in about monsters in the park. Acting on instinct and years of training, she had set up her rifle and taken the shot that would change the course of human history. As Zixtel's ship vanished into the depths of space, humanity held its breath, wondering what repercussions their violent first impression might bring. They didn't have long to wait. The aliens would return, and Earth would need every sniper it could muster to face the coming storm. In his quarters aboard the Stargazer, Commander Zixtel stared at the medical patch on his arm, a visible reminder of human lethality. He had come seeking new allies for the Galactic Union. Instead, he had found a nightmare, a species that could strike from nowhere, with devastating accuracy. As he composed his report to High Command, one thought echoed in his mind: "I hate human snipers." The stage was set. Humanity's fight for survival, and its journey to the stars, had begun with a single, perfect shot. The siege of Luna Base. General Sarah Chen stood at the reinforced viewport of Luna Base, her eyes fixed on the blue marble of Earth hanging in the void. 6 months had passed since her fateful encounter with the aliens in Central Park, and the world had changed beyond recognition. The Galactic Union, as they called themselves, had returned in force. Their massive ships now patrolled Earth's orbit, occasionally descending to engage in skirmishes with human military forces. But they had yet to launch a full-scale invasion, wary of the invisible threat that had wounded their scout commander: human snipers. "Status report," Chen barked, turning to face the bustling command center of humanity's primary off-world military installation. Major Raj Patel, her second-in-command, stepped forward with a holographic display. "The alien fleet is holding position just beyond lunar orbit, General. Our long-range sensors indicate they're massing for another push." Chen nodded grimly. Luna Base had become humanity's first line of defense, a fortress hewn from the moon's regolith and armed with the best weapons Earth could produce. But more importantly, it was home to the Solar Sniper Corps, an elite unit of sharpshooters trained to operate in low-gravity environments. "And our special projects?" Chen asked, lowering her voice. Patel's eyes gleamed with excitement. "Dr. Yoshida reports the prototype is ready for field testing. If it works as designed, it could be a game-changer." Before Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. Red warning lights bathed the command center in an eerie glow. "Multiple bogies incoming," shouted the sensor operator. "Alien dropships on approach vector." Chen's mind raced through tactical scenarios. The aliens had tried this before, quick strikes to probe Luna Base's defenses, but something felt different this time. The scale was larger, the approach more determined. "This is it," she muttered. "The real invasion begins now." She keyed her comm unit, broadcasting to the entire base, all personnel to battle stations. "This is not a drill. Sniper teams, deploy to your designated hardpoints. Show these steno bastards why they fear human marksmen." As the base's conventional defenses sprang to life, rail guns, missile batteries, and energy shields, Chen made her way to a special elevator. Paddle fell in step beside her. "Ma'am," he said hesitantly, Shouldn't you be coordinating from the command center? Chen allowed herself a tight smile. The troops need to see their general on the front lines, Major. Besides, I've got a score to settle with these aliens. The elevator deposited them in a secret hangar where a sleek, matte black vessel awaited. It resembled a grossly elongated rifle more than a spacecraft, with a needle-like prow and stubby wings. Dr. Yoshida, a small Japanese woman with streaks of gray in her hair, waited by the ship's entry hatch. General Chen, she said, bowing slightly. The AA-1 is ready for its baptism by fire. Has one? Patil asked, running a hand along the ship's smooth hull. Human adaptive sniper, Series 1, Yoshida explained. A fusion of our best stealth technology and most advanced long-range weaponry. It can maneuver in vacuum or atmosphere and deliver a hypervelocity round from extreme distances with pinpoint accuracy. Chen climbed into the pilot's seat, familiarizing herself with the controls. In other words, Major, it's humanity's answer to alien superiority. A weapon to remind them why they hate our snipers. As Chen prepared for launch, the first wave of alien dropships entered Luna's tenuous exosphere. Beams of coherent light lanced out from the base's defenses, catching several invaders and turning them into expanding balls of plasma. But more kept coming. Good hunting, General, Patil said, snapping a salute before the hatch sealed. The AK-1 slid out of its hangar on electromagnetic rails, then ignited its main engine in a silent burst of blue flame. Chen guided the ship into a high polar orbit, watching the battle unfold beneath her. Luna Base was holding its own for now. Coordinated sniper fire from concealed positions was wreaking havoc on alien landing parties, but the sheer number of attackers was overwhelming. Chen knew she had to make a decisive strike to turn the tide. She spotted her target, a massive command ship hanging back from the main assault. If she could take out its bridge, the alien attack would crumble. But even with the AA-1's advanced capabilities, it would be a 1 in a million shot. Chen allowed herself a grim chuckle. 1 in a million. Those were better odds than she'd had in Central Park. She lined up the shot, the AA-1's targeting computer accounting for lunar gravity, the target's movement, and a dozen other factors. Chen took a deep breath, steadied her hand on the trigger, and whispered, "For Earth." The AK-1 bucked as it launched its payload. A tungsten rod accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. Chen watched with bated breath as the projectile crossed the vast distance in seconds. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a blossom of fire erupted from the alien command ship. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as atmosphere vented into space. The massive vessel began to list, its engines sputtering and dying. Cheers erupted over the comm channel as Luna Base's defenders witnessed the spectacular shot. The alien assault faltered, then broke entirely as surviving ships scrambled to retreat. As Chen piloted the AA-1 back to base, she allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The aliens would be back, with new tactics and technologies to counter the sniper threat. But Chen had seen the fear in their eyes that day in Central Park. She had felt their dread as she lined up the impossible shot that crippled their fleet. As long as humans stood ready with steady hands and keen eyes, there was hope. In the void of space, where sound couldn't carry, Sarah Chen smiled. Let them come, she thought. Earth's snipers would be waiting. Back on the alien flagship, limping away from the disastrous assault, Commander Zixtal nursed his wounded pride and a fresh injury from falling debris. As damage reports flooded in, he found himself once again marveling at and cursing human ingenuity. How? He demanded of his tactical officer. How did they make that shot? It defies all logic. The officer's antennae drooped in defeat. Unknown, Commander. Our analysts are still trying to understand their capabilities. These humans, they're snipers. They're unlike anything we've encountered before. Zixtal's mandibles clicked in frustration. He had warned High Command about the human threat, but even he hadn't anticipated this level of resistance. As he gazed out at the stars, A shudder ran through his exoskeleton. The humans were no longer confined to their homeworld. They had tasted victory in space, and their dreaded snipers were evolving to meet the challenge of interplanetary warfare. For the first time since the conflict began, Zixtel felt an emotion he had never experienced before: doubt. Could the mighty Galactic Union truly stand against these tenacious, sharpshooting primates? As the battered alien fleet retreated to lick its wounds, the moon hung serene in space, now unquestionably under human control. Luna Base had held, and with it, humanity's hopes for survival among the stars. The siege of Luna Base was over, but the greater war had only just begun. Guerrilla warfare on Mars. The red dust of Mars swirled around Captain Alexei Volkov as he peered through the scope of his magnetically accelerated rifle. From his vantage point atop Olympus Mons, he had a clear view of the sprawling alien supply depot in the vast Martian canyon below. 2 years had passed since the siege of Luna Base, and the war had spread to the Red Planet. "Wind steady at 15 knots, north by northwest," whispered his spotter, Lieutenant Maria Santos. Temperature holding at -63 Celsius. Atmospheric density at 1.2% Earth normal. Volkov grunted in acknowledgement, making minute adjustments to his weapons settings. The HFY-2, an evolution of the sniper system that had turned the tide at Luna Base, compensated for Mars' unique conditions automatically. But Volkov preferred to double-check everything manually. When you're making shots measured in kilometers, there's no room for error. Movement at the depot's eastern gate, Santos reported, her augmented eyes zooming in on the target. "Looks like the weekly supply run is right on schedule." Volkov allowed himself a grim smile beneath his environment suit's faceplate. The aliens, or unionists, as humans had taken to calling them, were nothing if not punctual. It made them predictable. And predictability got you killed when fighting against human snipers. "Control, this is Olympus Actual," Volkov sub-vocalized into his comm. "Target is in position. Requesting fire mission, authentication, Echo 79er. A tense moment passed before a familiar voice crackled in his ear. "Olympus Actual, this is Control. General Chen confirming fire mission. You are cleared hot. Give him hell, Alexei." Volkov steadied his breathing, sensing his heartbeat with the rhythmic gusts of the thin Martian wind. He recalled his training, the countless hours spent in VR simulations and low-gravity chambers. But nothing could fully prepare a sniper for the reality of interplanetary warfare. The HFY-2 hummed to life, its internal systems charging for the shot. Volkov's finger tensed on the trigger. "For Earth," he whispered, echoing General Chen's now famous words. The rifle bucked, its electromagnetic coils launching a hypersonic projectile with pinpoint precision. Volkov watched through his scope as the round crossed the vast distance in the blink of an eye, striking the lead vehicle in the alien convoy. The ensuing explosion was silent in the thin Martian atmosphere, but the visual effect was spectacular. "Direct hit," Santos exclaimed. "Convoy is in disarray. Initiating Phase 2. As the aliens scrambled to respond to the attack, dozens of hidden charges planted by human saboteurs detonated throughout the supply depot. Volkov and Santos were already packing up their gear, preparing to exfiltrate before Unionist reinforcements arrived. "Olympus Actual to all Phantom units," Volkov broadcast on the secure channel. "Operation Red Dust is a go. Happy hunting." Across the Martian landscape, other sniper teams sprang into action. Precision strikes targeted Unionist command centers, communication relays, and defensive emplacements. By the time the aliens mounted an effective response, the human attackers had melted away into the planet's vast, dusty wastes. Back at the underground resistance base in Valles Marineris, General Sarah Chen studied the holographic map of Mars, watching as real-time updates flowed in from the field. Red icons representing Unionist positions winked out one by one, replaced by the blue of liberated human territories. "Impressive work, Volkov," Chen said as the sniper team reported in. "But we can't afford to get cocky. The Unionists still outnumber and outgun us. Volkov nodded, his face haggard from months of hit-and-run operations. Agreed, General. But our intel suggests the psychological impact of our campaign is taking its toll. Unionist morale is at an all-time low. Chen's eyes narrowed. Explain. Santos stepped forward, pulling up a series of intercepted alien communications on a nearby screen. We've been monitoring their chatter, ma'am. The Unionists are terrified of our snipers. They're calling Mars the Red Death, a place where unseen humans can strike from impossible distances. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Fear was a powerful weapon, one that could be wielded as effectively as any rifle. Good. Let's keep them off balance. I want proposals for our next series of strikes by 600 tomorrow. As the meeting dispersed, Chen found herself alone with Dr. Yoshida, the architect of humanity's advanced sniper systems. The scientist's eyes were troubled behind her glasses. Something on your mind, Doctor? Chen asked. Yoshida hesitated before speaking. General, our guerrilla tactics have been effective, but they're not a long-term solution. The Unionists' resources are vast. Eventually, they'll adapt or simply overwhelm us with numbers. Chen nodded grimly. I'm aware of the odds, Doctor. That's why I need you to accelerate work on Project Longshot. It may be our only hope of turning this war around decisively. Yoshida's eyes widened. But General, Longshot is purely theoretical at this stage. The energy requirements alone are staggering, not to mention the technical challenges off. I know the risks, Chen interrupted. But we're running out of options. Humanity needs a game changer, and we need it soon. As Yoshida hurried off to her lab, Chen turned back to the holographic map. The blue areas of human control were growing, but they were still dwarfed by the vast swaths of Unionist red. She thought of Earth, of Luna Base, of all the lives depending on the success of their Martian resistance. We'll find a way, she murmured to herself. We always do. Millions of kilometers away, aboard the Unionist flagship, Commander Zixtal received the latest reports from Mars with mounting frustration. The human snipers had struck again, somehow evading the most sophisticated detection systems in the galaxy. This is unacceptable. Zixtal chittered, his mandibles clacking in agitation. How can a primitive species outmaneuver us at every turn? His newly appointed tactical officer, Venra, stepped forward cautiously. Commander, we may have underestimated the humans' adaptability. Their snipers seem uniquely suited to the Martian environment. Perhaps if we were to change our approach. Enough excuses, Zixtal snapped. I want results. Increase our forces on Mars tenfold. Scour every crater, every canyon. Find these human sharpshooters and eliminate them, or I'll find someone who can. As Venera scurried away to carry out the orders, Zixtal turned to gaze out at the stars. Somewhere out there, on a dusty red planet, humans were watching and waiting. The thought sent an involuntary shudder through his exoskeleton. For the first time in his long military career, Zixtal found himself questioning the wisdom of this war. The humans were supposed to be easy prey, a footnote in the Galactic Union's grand expansion. Instead, they had become a nightmare, especially their accursed snipers. Why? Zixtal whispered to the uncaring Boyd. Why do I hate human snipers so much? The answer, he realized, was simple, because they represented everything the Galactic Union wasn't. Adaptable, unpredictable, able to achieve the impossible with primitive technology and sheer determination. As reports of more Unionist casualties on Mars streamed in, Zixtal made a silent vow. He would break the human resistance, no matter the cost. For the good of the Galactic Union and for his own peace of mind, the reign of terror brought by human snipers had to end. Little did he know that far below, in a secret lab carved into the Martian bedrock, humanity was preparing a surprise that would shatter his plans and change the course of the war forever. The red planet turned slowly in the darkness, its secrets and struggles hidden from the rest of the solar system. But soon, Very soon, Mars would become the crucible in which the fate of two civilizations would be decided. The battle for Earth's oceans. The inky blackness of the deep ocean pressed against the viewports of the DSV Mariana, humanity's most advanced deep-sea combat vessel. Commander Elena Petrova squinted at the sonar display, searching for any sign of the elusive Unionist forces that had been wreaking havoc on Earth's maritime infrastructure. "Anything, sonar?" Petrova asked, her voice tense. Petty Officer Jackson shook his head. "Nothing yet, Commander. Wait." He paused, adjusting his headphones. "Contact, bearing 047, range 5,000 meters. It's big, ma'am." Petrova's eyes narrowed. "Unionist capital ship." "Affirmative," Jackson confirmed. "Signature matches the Leviathan class we've encountered before." The commander allowed herself a grim smile. For months, the aliens had used Earth's oceans as a hidden highway, bypassing orbital defenses to strike coastal cities at will. But now, thanks to breakthroughs in aquatic sniper technology, humanity had a chance to turn the tables. "Weapons, prepare the Haze 3 for deep-sea deployment," Petrova ordered. "Helm, bring us to firing depth, nice and easy. Let's not spook our quarry." As the Mariana glided through the lightless depths, Petrova reflected on the strange turn the war had taken. When the Unionists had first arrived, everyone had expected the decisive battles to be fought in space. Instead, the conflict had spread to every environment imaginable, from the airless plains of Luna to the dust storms of Mars, and now to the crushing depths of Earth's oceans. "Has 3 ready for deployment, Commander," reported Lieutenant Omd from the weapons station. "Awaiting your order." Petrova nodded. The human adaptive sniper system had come a long way since its debut at Luna Base. The Haze 3 was designed specifically for underwater combat, capable of launching supercavitating rounds that could maintain lethal velocity even in the dense ocean environment. "Deploy sniper team," Petrova commanded, "and patch me through to their comms." A moment later, the gruff voice of Master Chief John Hawkins, the Mariana's lead sniper, crackled over the speakers. "Sniper team deployed and in position, Commander. We have eyes on the target." "Copy that, Chief," Petrova replied. "You know the drill. 1 shot, 1 kill. The fate of our coastal cities depends on it." "Aye, ma'am," Hawkins acknowledged. "These alien bastards won't know what hit him." Petrova watched on the external cameras as 2 sleek figures in advanced diving suits detached from the Mariana's hull. Hawkins and his spotter, Petty Officer Maria Delgado, propelled themselves into position with near-silent thrusters. Minutes ticked by intense silence as the sniper team closed in on their target. The alien vessel loomed in the darkness, its strange biomechanical design a stark contrast to the clean lines of human submarines. "In position," Hawkins reported, "adjusting for currents and salinity." "Delgado, what's our window?" "We've got a clear shot at their propulsion hub," Delgado responded. "Hit that, and they'll be dead in the water." Petrova held her breath. This was the moment of truth. If the Haze 3 performed as designed, they could cripple the Unionists' underwater operations in a single stroke. "Send it," Hawkins growled. The Haze 3 fired, its muzzle flash briefly illuminating the oceanic abyss. The supercavitating round streaked through the water, leaving a trail of collapsing bubbles in its wake. It struck the alien ship with pinpoint accuracy, tearing through exotic alloys and energy fields as if they were tissue paper. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a series of secondary explosions rippled along the Unionist vessel's hull. Strange, bioluminescent fluids leaked into the surrounding water as the ship began to list. "Direct hit," Delgado exclaimed. "Target's propulsion is offline. They're bleeding power fast." Petrova allowed herself a moment of exultation before snapping back into command mode. "All hands, battle stations. Move in and finish them off. I want that ship captured if possible. Our A-heads will have a field day studying their tech." As the Mariana closed in for the kill, Petrova couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Human ingenuity had once again adapted to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The oceans, which the Unionists had thought would provide them safe haven, had become just another hunting ground for Earth's deadly snipers. Hours later, as salvage teams combed through the captured Unionist vessel, Petrova received a priority transmission from General Chen. The holographic image of the general flickered to life in the Mariana's command center. "Outstanding work, Commander," Chen said, a rare smile crossing her face. "Your team's success has thrown the enemy into disarray. We're seeing similar results across all our oceanic theaters." Petrova nodded, pride swelling in her chest. "Thank you, General. But I suspect you didn't call just to offer congratulations." Chen's expression turned serious. "You're right. We've intercepted Unionist communications indicating they're planning something big. Something desperate. I need your team to report to Luna Base immediately for a special briefing." "Luna Base?" Petrova asked, surprised. "What about the ongoing undersea operations?" "Other teams can handle the mop-up," Chen replied. "This is more important. It involves Project Longshot." Petrova's eyes widened. She'd heard whispers about Longshot, a technology so advanced it bordered on science fiction. "Understood, General. We'll depart immediately." As the transmission ended, Petrova turned to her crew. "All right, people, change of plans. We're heading topside, and then straight to the moon. Something tells me the next phase of this war is going to make our underwater adventures look like a walk in the park." Meanwhile, light years away, aboard the Unionist Supreme Command vessel, Zixtol received the news of their latest defeat with a mixture of rage and despair. "Impossible," he chittered, smashing a delicate control panel with one of his armored claws. "How could they have developed such technology so quickly? The oceans were supposed to be our sanctuary." His advisors cowered before him, none willing to offer explanations or excuses. They had all seen what happened to those who failed the increasingly unstable commander. Zixtol's compound eyes fixed on the holographic display of Earth, rotating serenely amidst the stars. The beautiful blue marble that had once represented hope for the Galactic Union's expansion now seemed like a mocking reminder of their failures. "If we cannot hide in their oceans," Zixtol snarled, "then we will boil them away. Prepare the world breaker. It's time to show these humans the true might of the Galactic Union." A collective gasp went up from his staff. The world breaker was a weapon of last resort, capable of rendering entire planets uninhabitable. Its use had been forbidden by Unionist law for millennia. But Zixtol was beyond caring about laws or consequences. His mandibles clicked in grim determination as he gazed at the image of Earth. Soon, he thought, there would be no more human snipers, no more impossible shots from impossible places, just blessed silence and the ashes of a conquered world. As Unionist ships began to mass for what Zixtol hoped would be the final assault, a single human vessel rocketed away from Earth, carrying with it humanity's best and brightest. The DSV Mariana, now repurposed for spaceflight, streaked towards Luna Base, where the fate of two civilizations would soon be decided. The battle for Earth's oceans had been won, but the war for humanity's survival was about to enter its most desperate hour. The Longshot Gambit. The stark, gray surface of the moon stretched out before General Sarah Chen as she stood at the viewport of Luna Base's primary observation deck. Behind her, a hive of activity buzzed as Earth's best minds put the finishing touches on humanity's last, desperate hope. "Project Longshot." "General," a voice called. Chen turned to see Commander Elena Petrova approaching, still clad in her deep-sea operation uniform. "Reporting as ordered." Chen nodded, gesturing for Petrova to join her at the viewport. "Glad you could make it, Commander. I trust your journey was uneventful." Petrova's lips quirked in a half-smile. "As uneventful as a mad dash from the bottom of the Pacific to the moon can be, ma'am." "Good," Chen replied, her eyes fixed on the blue marble of Earth hanging in the void. "Because I'm afraid things are about to get very eventful indeed." Before Chen could elaborate, alarms blared throughout the base. Dr. Yoshida burst onto the observation deck, her usually calm demeanor shattered by panic. "General," she gasped, "long-range sensors have detected a massive energy buildup in the Unionist fleet. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Chen's face hardened. "It's the World Breaker, isn't it?" Yoshida nodded grimly. "If our calculations are correct, it has the power to render Earth uninhabitable in a matter of hours." Petrova's eyes widened in shock. "My God, what can we do?" Chen turned to face them both, her expression a mask of determination. "We do what humanity has always done when backed into a corner. We adapt, we overcome, and we take the fight to them." She keyed her comm unit. "This is General Chen. Initiate Project Longshot. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." The observation deck erupted into a flurry of activity as technicians and officers rushed to their stations. Chen led Petrova and Yoshida to a secure briefing room, where a holographic display flickered to life. "Commander Petrova," Chen began, "what you're about to see is the culmination of years of research and our last hope for survival." The hologram showed a massive orbital platform, bristling with advanced technology. At its heart was a weapon that defied description. Part rifle, part particle accelerator, part dimensional gateway. Yoshida stepped forward. "Project Longshot is the ultimate evolution of our sniper technology. It's capable of firing a round not just across vast distances, but through the very fabric of space-time itself." Petrova's mind reeled at the implications. "You mean?" "Yes," Chen confirmed. "With Longshot, we can strike at the heart of the Unionist fleet, no matter where in the galaxy they might be." As if on cue, the hologram updated to show the approaching Unionist armada. At its center was a ship that dwarfed all others, the World Breaker. "Our target," Chen said grimly, "is the World Breaker's main reactor. If we can destabilize it, the resulting chain reaction should disable their entire fleet." Petrova nodded, her training kicking in despite the astronomical odds. "Who's taking the shot?" A ghost of a smile crossed Chen's face. "We are, Commander. You and me. The two best shots humanity has, working in tandem. I'll be on targeting. You'll be on the trigger." As Chen and Petrova made their way to the Longshot Control Center, the situation grew increasingly dire. Reports flooded in of Unionist ships entering Earth's atmosphere, preparing for the final assault. Energy buildup in the World Breaker approaching critical levels. An analyst reported. Estimated time to discharge: 15 minutes. Chen and Petrova took their positions at the Longshot controls. The weapon hummed with barely contained power, ready to bend the laws of physics to humanity's will. "Remember your training," Chen said, her fingers dancing across the targeting interface. "Breathe. Focus. The fate of our entire species rests on this one shot." Petrova nodded, her hand steady on the firing control. "For Earth," she whispered. As the countdown to the World Breaker's attack ticked away, Chen made minute adjustments, compensating for gravitational distortions, temporal fluctuations, and a dozen other factors beyond normal human comprehension. "Target locked," Chen announced. "Petrova, take the shot." Time seemed to slow as Petrova squeezed the trigger. The Longshot fired, a beam of pure energy lancing out into space. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, impossibly, alarms blared on the Unionist flagship. Commander Zixtal stared in disbelief as warnings flashed across his command screens. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Reactor breach," his engineering officer shouted. "But that's impossible. We're nowhere near the human defenses." Zixtal watched in horror as the impossible became reality. The World Breaker's reactor went critical, the ship tearing itself apart from the inside. The destruction spread like a shockwave through the Unionist fleet as ship after ship succumbed to the chain reaction. Back on Luna Base, cheers erupted as the Longshot's effects became clear. The Unionist threat had been neutralized in a single impossible shot. Hours later, As the dust settled and the full scope of humanity's victory became apparent, a transmission came through on all frequencies. It was Commander Zixtal, broadcasting from an escape pod. "Humans," he began, his voice heavy with defeat. "You have done the impossible. You have broken the might of the Galactic Union with a single shot. I surrender unconditionally." Chen and Petrova exchanged glances. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. "Commander Zixtal," Chen replied, her voice firm but not unkind. "We accept your surrender, but more than that, we offer you a chance at understanding. Come to Luna Base. Let us talk not as enemies, but as two species with much to learn from each other." Zixtal's mandibles clicked in surprise. "After all we've done, you would offer peace." "Peace," Chen confirmed, "and a chance to build something greater than either of us could alone. It's what we do, Commander. We adapt, we overcome, and sometimes we forgive." As arrangements were made for the historic meeting, Petrova turned to Chen. "Do you think it will work? Peace with the Unionists?" Chen smiled, her eyes on the stars. "It won't be easy. But if there's one thing this war has taught us, it's that humanity can achieve the impossible when we put our minds to it. Who knows? Maybe one day, we'll even teach them to appreciate the art of the perfect shot." Epilogue. Years passed, and the scars of war slowly healed. The alliance between humanity and the reformed Galactic Union ushered in an era of unprecedented growth and discovery. Earth's snipers, once feared across the galaxy, became legendary instructors, teaching the principles of precision and patience to a new generation of interstellar peacekeepers. And on a quiet hill overlooking the Sea of Tranquility, a simple monument stood. It depicted two figures, one human, one alien, looking out at the stars together. At its base, a plaque read, "To the snipers who saved Earth, and the understanding that saved us all. Sometimes, the longest shots yield the greatest rewards." Commander Zixtal, now a respected diplomat, often visited this spot. He would stand in quiet contemplation, marveling at the twists of fate that had brought sworn enemies together as friends. And every now and then, if one listened closely, they might hear him chuckle and mutter to himself, "I still hate human snipers, but I'm glad they're on our side now." The galaxy, vast and full of wonders, continued to turn, and humanity, with its indomitable spirit and unerring aim, stood ready to face whatever challenges awaited among the stars.